911 emergency, what are you reporting?
I just went away from home because I live in a family of 15, and we have abusing parents. Did you hear that?
Okay, how did they abuse you?
My two little sisters right now are chained up.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 17.
When a 911 operator for Riverside County receives a strange call from what sounds like a very confused child, she has no idea of the horrors about to be revealed to her. This call, made by a nearly adult woman, will blow open one of the most shocking and horrifying cases of child and dependent adult abuse in U.S. history. In the very early morning hours of January 14, 2018, a home security camera in Paris, California captures what looks like a young child fleeing from what seems to be a typical suburban house. The child runs shakily down the driveway before picking up speed once hitting the sidewalk and disappearing from view. This is 17-year-old Jordan Turpin, and though she's been planning for this moment for almost 2 years, she still has no idea what she's about to do will change the course of her family's lives forever. Interestingly, another person, this one looking to be older, also emerges from the house and moves quickly down the street off camera, though in the complete opposite direction, only to return a few minutes later and re-enter the house. At the same time, Jordan makes it to a corner down the block where she stops beneath a stop sign and, with hands shaking violently, dials 911.
I just ran away from home.
Okay, do you know where you are?
I'm actually in California, Paris.
Do you know what street you're on?
No.
Do you see any signs or anything, like any street signs?
No, I don't.
The operator speaks with her for a minute before realizing this is a matter for the sheriff's department and asks Jordan to hold on 1 second while she transfers her. Jordan agrees and stands, panting in the darkness, full of adrenaline and fear that at any moment her parents will appear out of the shadows.
It's BHB with the transfer. She's not sure where she's at. She says that she's in Paris and she ran away from home.
Okay. Hello? Hello?
Oh, yes, I'm still here.
What's your name?
Jordan Turpin.
The operator asks her to spell her last name, and Jordan tries, although she misspells it both times the operator asks.
Turpin. Do you need my address?
Yeah, what's your address?
Okay, you got to give me a minute. It's going to take a while.
Here, Jordan pauses, taking a couple of deep breaths before doing her best to provide an answer.
I live in... Okay, this is my address. 9257 Case. Did you get that?
Case? Is it C-A-S-E?
Okay, sorry. I'm going to start over. My address is 925705574. Did you get it?
Okay, so now you just gave me a whole bunch of numbers. You didn't give me any kind of street name there.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so you're just around the corner from your house, is that right?
Yeah, I think. I'm not sure. I've never been out. I don't go out much, so I don't know anything about the streets or anything.
It's later revealed that Jordan has never been to school or received any kind of formal education whatsoever, so the fact she's able to offer anything at all is actually rather impressive. The operator asks Jordan a couple more questions about her location before getting to the heart of the matter.
Why did you leave your house?
What?
Why did you leave your house?
My parents are abusing. They abuse us. And my two little sisters right now are chained up.
Where are they chained up at?
On their bed.
Then there are 15 kids?
There's 13 kids. And then a mother and father.
Are you at a corner right now?
I might be.
Is there a street sign? Is there a pole with two names at the top?
I just see a stop sign.
Okay, can you go over and stand right at that stop sign?
Yes.
Shortly thereafter, Deputy Anthony Colaci, at the end of a long graveyard shift, pulls up to the curb, getting out to greet the small, disheveled figure standing alone in the darkness.
Hi, Jordan. Hi, what's going on?
Okay. I just ran away from home.
Okay.
And I live in a family of 15.
Okay.
Thank you so much. There's a mother and father, and then there's 13 kids.
Uh-huh.
And...
How old are the kids?
Okay, some of them are, my older sister's 29, the youngest is 2.
And they all live in the house?
Yes.
Even your 29-year-old sister?
Yes. Oh, yeah, they're kind of scared to ask to move out because of their mother. Some of them have asked for a job before, and she acts like that's crazy and it would never happen. But my two little sisters right now are chained up.
How old are they?
11 and 14.
And they're chained up?
Yes,
Where are they chained up at?
on their bed. They're chained up because they stole mother's food.
Uh-huh.
But, okay, yeah. And do you want to know why they stole mother's food?
Why?
Okay. All we ever eat, for like probably like 2 straight years or 3 or more, but we always eat the same things. But sometimes we do eat. I'm sorry if I talk too much. Okay. I've never talked to anybody out there, so I've never been alone with a person, so this is very hard for me to talk.
Despite Jordan's marked level of trepidation, she continues to divulge as much information as possible, though she clearly struggles to put it all into words. She picks up where she left off with the dispatcher during her 911 call in regards to Turpin family life and how little the children were fed.
I don't know much about my mother. She doesn't like us. She doesn't spend time with us ever.
Who takes care of you?
I take care of myself, and Mother does buy food for us, so she feeds us.
Okay. All we ever eat is peanut butter sandwiches. Sometimes they tell Mother that they're hungry, but she has to give it to them. And then when they throw up, she says, "You're supposed to tell me if you're hungry, I'll give you something." And then they try to tell her, and she just like, "Okay, go on." So...
You've never been outside before?
Okay, I've been outside.
Do you go to school?
No. I haven't finished first grade.
Jordan, having been sheltered from the outside world, is painfully apparent when she concedes that she isn't familiar with the most basic of health-related terminology.
Okay, does anybody at the house take any kind of medication?
Oh, I don't know what medication is.
Any medicines?
When we have a cold, sometimes we take Robitussin. I don't know. We don't take medicine much when we're sick.
Right, so...
How did do your parents know you left your house?
No, they don't.
Do you take any medication?
What's medication?
Medication?
Yeah, what's medication?
Do you take pills? Do you take pills?
Oh, I
For...
don't think I've ever taken a pill before.
Okay.
Right, I haven't. But...
What about your other siblings? Do they ever go outside?
Okay. Mother treats them right. They're like, they go out every day when she goes out, but she takes turns sometimes. It's 2 right now. But when was 1, was crying, and Mother knocked on her head with a pencil, and she just turned 1. And we was like noticing stuff, like, we was like, did get amnesia? Because she started acting weird after that. And so,
So you don't go to school?
right, I don't go
Do your
to school.
parents, do they let you go outside?
I've never, we don't even go in the backyard. And our parents are abusing. They abuse us. But the reason I called and the reason I managed to get out here, this is one of the most scariest things I've ever done. I'm terrified. But I called because my 2 little sisters, they're chained up right now. And they...
Do you have pictures of that?
Yes, I can show you. I actually didn't have it, and then one of my sisters told me I need to get pictures.
You have pictures of your sisters chained up?
Yes, but they're in here. I don't have proof of everything, but I have proof that my sisters are chained up. So see, here you can look at them. See, those are the places that make it on them, and that's. And see how dirty she is. We are so filthy. We don't take baths. We don't.
Is there a cell phone number
No, that's
to this?
No.
Can I look at? Do you have any other photos?
You might be able to see it. Yes, those are just photos of me.
Do you have any other photos of people in chains?
No. Okay, yes, I have pictures and videos, but they're on my camera, and I have to. That would take forever. But it's just that's all I have is them chained up, and you already saw that.
Have you lived in other states?
Yeah, Texas.
Did they act like this when you lived in Texas?
They acted different. They actually banned all of their kids in a house, and they left us there for like 4 years, and then later they came back and picked us up. but they're living with us right now.
As the Texan neighbors of the family would later report, the family, who'd moved to Texas in the late 90s, kept entirely to themselves until a decade later, when they apparently fled in the middle of the night without a word of explanation. When neighbors went over to the mobile home to check on the dogs that had been abandoned there, they were shocked and horrified by what they saw. The dogs had apparently been found surviving off the used diapers left amid the other trash and feces left in the home, and the doors and refrigerator all bore padlocks and frayed ropes tied to the multiple bare bunk beds. It would later come out that this was where the Turpins had abandoned all but 2 of their children for at least 3 years, while they themselves lived in an apartment nearby, only coming by once a week to drop off a small amount of food.
Sometimes we live in silt, and sometimes I wake up and I can't breathe because how dirty the house is. We never take baths. I don't know if we need to go to the doctor, but sometimes we think stuff might be wrong with us, and we tell Mother, and she just says, go on.
When was the last time you had a bath?
I don't know, almost a year ago.
What if I went to your parents' house right now? What would they tell me?
I'd be terrified. If you went to my parents' house, they couldn't see me.
How did your sisters get like this?
Okay.
Your parents chained them up?
Yes, because they stole food.
Okay.
But they stole it because they were hungry.
You make sure to save these, okay?
Okay, I will.
Don't get rid of those.
I will. I won't. Yes.
Okay. Can you do me a favor? Take a seat in the back of my car?
Yes.
We're going to go around the corner, okay?
Okay.
And take a seat back here, okay?
By this point, the deputies heard enough. He radios for backup and escorts Jordan to the police car to be driven to the family home. He reassures her she doesn't have to see her parents. On the way over to the house, Deputy Kalachi asks Jordan a few more questions.
Do you have any injuries?
What's injuries?
Are you hurt?
Oh, no, not right now.
Okay. Are your parents sleeping?
No, I think they're up. They probably noticed me missing.
Have you ever tried to escape before?
Yes, I have. How much would it cost to take me to Nevada? Nevada? No, not Las Vegas, just Nevada. Just the border, just at the very beginning of Nevada. Yeah. How much would it cost? Huh? No. No, I'm 18. Okay, a couple hundred? I'm not going. I'll take a bus. Yeah, thanks. Bye.
And what happens when you try to?
My parents never caught me. But my older sister has run away, and she caught her. And she was, I think, just turned 20.
Yeah.
And her sister caught her and brought her back home, and she got in so much trouble.
So what other things do your parents do to you guys?
They abuse us, and they say things to us that hurt our feelings, but we don't take showers, and stuff. We live in fields, and we tell our parents that.
Has anybody ever been to your house before to check on your welfare?
Like have
any of your other siblings called the cops?
No. Yeah. Some of them have wanted to, but they're too terrified.
What are your parents going to do when they find out you left?
They're going to want to literally kill me.
What's the worst thing they've done to you?
They have choked me against the bed, and
When was that?
2015.
Did you call the police?
I didn't have a way to get a phone yet. This is the first chance I got the phone back. Like, I got this phone probably, like, less than a month ago. But the next chance I got to call and run away was...
How did you get a phone?
Okay, it's my brother's phone. He was going to throw it away, and it wasn't used. And so I needed a way to call 911, and I asked my sister, would that be okay? And because we don't know much, and so... And
Why don't you know much?
Older sister.
Why don't you know much?
We don't go around. Our parents never tell us things. When we hear stuff, we're shocked. It took forever for us to figure out what our parents does is against the law. We took forever.
And even the 29-year-old doesn't know this?
Okay, the 29-year-old does. She knew it for a long time, but I think she's scared.
The sister, 29-year-old Jennifer Turpin, had in fact tried to escape once when the Turpin family lived in Texas, but without any form of education or identification, she was eventually forced to return home, where she was promptly punished.
Is there a phone number to that phone?
I don't think there is.
How did you call 911?
Well, you could call 911.
Oh.
I'm sure any phone that, even if it's not connected to that one, you can call 911.
So your parents, you're 17 years old?
Yes.
And throughout your whole life, you've never gone to school?
Right. I started first grade 2015 or 2016.
Uh-huh.
But,
How did you start first grade? Oh, in homeschool?
yes.
And you've never gone to school?
Right.
What else do your parents do to you guys?
Oh, my brother's chained up too right now.
They're chained up?
One of my brothers is chained up too. So 3 people are chained up right now.
How long have your parents been chaining you guys up?
Just this year. But they have tied up my brother.
Why did you decide to leave today?
It was the next chance I got that I could film.
How did you get a chance to get out?
Well, I was actually terrified. My mother was in the kitchen talking to the older ones, and she was laughing and stuff. And I was terrified, but she just got real mad. She just was doing stuff to my little sister, and I was just like, and she started saying that she was gonna just do stuff to us, and so I was just so scared, and I just left. I just went out the window. I don't.
So when you left right now, you left out the window?
Yes.
And your mom was awake when
Yeah,
she was in the other room?
Yeah.
Does your dad have a gun? Are there any weapons in the house?
Yes, but they don't use it.
How long have your mom and dad been married?
I don't know, probably 20, I don't know. She got married when she was 16.
Jordan is referring to her mother, 49-year-old Louise Turpin. According to both of Louise's sisters, Louise essentially ran away from home with the then 23-year-old David when she was only 16. David was from a highly respected and influential family in their hometown, and it was for this reason that Louise's parents gave their blessing for the two to get officially married.
Yes.
So all kids have the same mom and dad?
Yes.
According to David's parents, the reason he and Louise had so many children was down to them both being deeply religious in the Pentecostal faith, though the couple didn't attend a church or even have one near their home.
What else do they do besides chaining you up?
They abuse us.
How?
Sometimes they pull out our hair and they take us and Father doesn't abuse us. He abuses his son.
Or does your mom take you to the doctor?
Not all the time. There was one time we all went to the doctor, and that's because we were sick. And the doctor told us that if we were one day later, it would have been too late. She always waits for the last minute for everything.
Have the police ever got involved with this?
No.
Well, why don't you guys just leave the house?
Because we're terrified. We don't really have a way. Everyone's always looking. There's always somebody.
Well, you said your mom's always gone, right?
Right.
Well, why don't you just leave?
Either she leaves one of the older ones there, and our house, it makes a beeping noise.
This beeping noise was actually just the low battery sound from the smoke detectors in the Turpin's home. It seems Jordan is under the impression that this was a signal from some sort of security system. At this point, the other officers pull up to the scene and Deputy Kalachi steps out of the car to direct them. It's now 7 a.m. and the sun has started to rise on this cool January morning when they approach the front door and knock loudly for a couple minutes.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, sorry to bug you.
How you guys doing?
Good.
We got a call for a check the welfare here at your house. So,
For what?
check the welfare. So, just basically check on everybody, make sure everybody's okay.
Yeah, why?
You guys have kids in the house?
Yes.
Okay, do you mind if we come in and just take a look, make sure everybody's safe and everything's okay?
Okay, what kind of call did you get?
Well, we got a call that there was a young female walking around saying that she came from a house over here. We were able to find out that this was a house, and we just wanted to check and make sure everybody was okay.
Think she came from here?
That's what she said.
From inside this house?
I think so. Otherwise, we wouldn't be knocking on your
Did
door
she
at
say
Sunday.
her name?
I don't know, did she say her name?
I don't know offhand, but we need to check.
We just need to check and make sure everybody's okay.
You'll notice the officers are careful not to mention Jordan by name, to not implicate her to her parents' faces.
Once we get in, make sure everything's okay, we'll get out of your
We
hair.
have a lot where we're packing.
Okay,
We're getting
that's
ready
fine,
to
that's
move.
No worries.
So it's a mess in here, so.
All right, that's fine.
We don't mind messes. We've been
But
in
I
worse.
mean,
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing okay.
Okay,
we were just in bed. I mean, like.
So most
That's
people are right now, so we expect you guys to be in bed.
Okay.
And no weapons in the house or anything like that?
No.
I do have a gun. It's locked up.
Okay, locked up is good. We like that.
Okay.
Okay, well, we're gonna come in and check, okay? We just wanna make sure everybody's okay.
Well, do you have a search warrant or anything? Or
No, we
what?
don't need one, sir.
As the officers prepare to carry out a warrantless search of the premises, they have determined there are exigent circumstances surrounding the current situation. Courts will typically look at the time when officers make the warrantless search or seizure to evaluate whether, at that point in time, a reasonable officer at the scene would have believed it was urgent to act and impractical to secure a warrant. Courts may also consider whether the facts suggested that the suspect was armed and planning to escape, whether a reasonable police officer would believe their safety or others' safety was threatened, and whether there was a serious crime involved. Police in hot pursuit of a fleeing criminal may also make use of the exigent circumstances exception. As officers push their way past the corpulent door jamb that is David and ease their way into the large open home, they're shocked and horrified by what greets them. Every inch of the 2,388 square foot house's floor is covered in mounds of rotting food and moldering trash, while the powerful stench of human waste hangs in the humid air. Strangely, there also seems to be several dozen unopened boxes and packages of children's toys and brand new children's clothing complete with tags seen peeking out of the monstrous piles of garbage.
All right, well, like I said, sorry to bug you guys, but we just got this call. All we do is we just check and make sure everybody's okay. And
You got a call?
yeah, we got a call from, I'm not sure if it was the young girl that left or if it was a neighbor that saw her walking around the street. So we'll get to the bottom of it. As soon as we make sure everybody's okay, then we'll decide, we'll figure out if maybe she was one of your kids that wandered away. How many kids do you have?
13.
13 total?
Yeah.
Woo! You guys are busy.
Yeah.
Officers head to the back of the house to the children's bedrooms, 2 tiny back rooms, the first crammed with narrow bunk beds, but otherwise empty, and the second, which is crammed with both bunk beds and a filthy mattress, which is sitting on the floor with 2 little girls sitting listlessly on top.
Hi, sweetheart. Hi, girls. Can I see your wrist? Yeah.
Which one?
Okay.
The officers believe they found the room featured in Jordan's phone pictures and the 2 girls whose arms bear the chain-shaped bruises. But there's only one thing missing, the actual chains, leading them to believe the parents may have frantically unchained the girls as soon as they noticed Jordan was missing. The children, obviously frightened and wary of the strangers, give no answers, though eventually one does point them surreptitiously to a sliding closet door. Meanwhile, Officer Ogden is still by the door with David and Luis, distracting them with questions and small talk.
Where are you guys planning on moving to?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma?
Yeah.
That's a long way away.
Yeah, it is.
You guys know family over there or anything like that?
No, my job's moving me.
Oh, okay. What do you do for work?
I'm an engineer.
Finally, as his eyes have adjusted to the gloom, Officer Ogden notices something to his left and suddenly realizes David Turpin may have had a reason to be awkwardly standing in that particular spot in the entryway.
Is this another bedroom back here?
Yeah.
You got another couple kiddos asleep there?
Yeah.
Sarge, you got another room in the front right here with 2 kiddos in the bed.
Officers enter the previously unnoticed 3rd bedroom, where they find 3 more motionless bodies in bunk beds, with one, a boy, who is chained by his wrists and ankles to the top bunk bed with heavy metal chains. Back in the girls' room, Officer Rodriguez slides open the closet door and looks inside.
All right. Let's just go ahead and detain the parents at this point.
Ma'am, why don't you step over here for a minute?
Okay.
Okay, with you. And sir, step over here for a second. Just step over with my partner here for a second. You got any weapons on you?
No.
Turn around real quick, I'm gonna check you out. Do me a favor, face that window over here.
Over this way?
Yep. All right, sir. Go ahead. I'm gonna have you turn over here. We're gonna walk outside. All right.
Can I get my house shoes?
Where's your shoes at?
There. Luis, you know if they're in the.
We'll have to find them for right now. Let's just walk out and we'll get you something. All right.
In the bedroom or the.
All right. Well, we got the other stuff we're dealing with, and we'll try to find you them. Okay.
You don't have any weapons on you,
Nothing. Nothing hidden in the bra or anything. Okay, just making sure because we have some people that do that, so we just want to make sure.
Like I said, I've never been in trouble.
Okay.
This is a first for me. And,
Okay. Well,
I don't understand.
I'll explain everything as soon as we make sure everybody's safe. Okay. Now let me ask you.
Yes.
Quickly, are there keys to the little locks?
Yes.
Okay. Where are they?
My son and daughter can get them.
Okay.
That's
so
in the house.
the ones that are in the house, they know where they are.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Is that what this is about?
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, definitely. We need to make sure that the kids are safe and that they're not tied up.
Yeah,
so we
'cause
need to get the chains off of them.
Yeah, I know.
So,
that's understandable, but I can
hey,
explain that.
this is mine, so go ahead and put her in that one.
While the parents are being detained, officers still inside the house begin a desperate search to find the key to free the chained child.
Does it work on his?
I know. The other one, that's what I was saying. The other one is in there. It looks different than that, but it's the same size.
It's in the drawer?
It's in the drawer that I was in.
And finally, the young boy is freed. All 13 of the Turpin children were immediately taken to the hospital to receive treatment for their severe malnutrition, bruises, and other injuries. Their ages were officially determined, and though all had the overall appearance of children under 18, more than half of them, in fact, were actually adults between the ages of 18 and 29. The 28-year-old weighed only 82 pounds at the time of rescue, and all of the children suffered cognitive impairment and nerve damage from the consistent lack of food. Investigators would learn that food was something the children were psychologically tormented with, as the parents would buy large food items, such as whole pies, then leave them out for the children to look at, but not eat. As it turns out, the unopened toys investigators saw around the house on the day of the rescue were bought for the very same reason. Investigators would also discover that none of the children were educated, and indeed, none would claim to have knowledge beyond that of an average third grader. David Turpin had filed documents with the county claiming he was running a school out of his home for children, but this was later proved to be completely false. The most they did was inform the children as to what grade they were supposed to be in, on the off chance a stranger asked them during one of their few ventures outside. With the oldest daughter, Jennifer, explaining, they loved to point out things in Deuteronomy, saying that we have the right to do this to you, that they had the right to even kill us if we didn't listen. I was afraid to do one little thing wrong. If I did one little thing wrong, I was going to be beaten until I bled. Both of the Turpin parents were originally charged with 12 counts of torture, 7 counts of abuse of a dependent adult, 6 counts of child abuse or neglect, and 12 counts of false imprisonment for alleged crimes ranging from 2010 to the present, 2018. In addition, David Turpin was also charged with 1 count of lewd act on a child in 2018, which was then amended to include 3 additional counts of cruelty to a child and a felony assault charge for Luis. When interrogated by authorities, both parents were completely unwilling or unable to come up with a single viable reason for why they treated their children this way. And Luis even seemed confused by the questioning. She later wrote this letter to her children from her jail cell. It reads, "Father and I love you so much. We're so sorry for everything we've done wrong, and now realize that we had done some things wrong. Things will be so different in the future. The way you eat and outside time and baths will be done more regularly. I'm sorry this had to happen, but our future as a family will be so much better and stronger. We hope to see you guys soon. Love and kisses, Mom and Dad. I promise there will be no chains in the house again. That would never happen again. I'm so sorry. I love you so much and hope to see you soon." David had something different to say in a statement to the court. "Your Honor, I thank God for all of my children. Each one of them is a blessing from God. My homeschooling and discipline had good intentions. I never intended for any harm to come to my children. I'm sorry if I've done anything to cause them harm. I'm glad that we were able to resolve this case without my children being forced to testify. I love my children and I believe my children love me. I hope and pray that my children can stay close to each other and look out for each other since their mother and father cannot be there for them and with them. I hope the very best for my children and their future. When it came time for the children to give statements to the courts, one defended her parents. Joy Turpin, 21 at the time, had this to say: "I want the court to know that our parents loved each other and loved each of their children. They felt that God blessed them with all their children, so they kept away from the world and trusted God would guide them through life. Through the years, things became more and more overwhelming, but they kept trusting in God. I remember our mother sitting in her recliner and crying, saying she don't know what to do. She didn't want to use rope or chains, but she was afraid her children were taking in too much sugar and caffeine. Our parents didn't know we were malnourished. Our parents decided to start homeschooling all their children. I believe our parents were afraid to put us in public school for many reasons. I feel like 25 years is too long of a sentence. I believe with all my heart that our parents tried their best to raise all 13 of us, and they wanted to give us a good life. The oldest child, Jennifer, gave a statement that seems much more in line with the other children who gave interviews to the press. I'm in college now and living independently. I love hanging out with my friends, and life is great. I believe everything happens for a reason. Life may have been bad, but it made me strong. I fought to become the person I am. I saw my dad change my mom. They almost changed me, but I realized what was happening. I immediately did what I could to not become like that. I'm a fighter, I'm strong, and I'm shooting through life like a rocket." In April 2019, David and Louise Turpin were both sentenced to 25 years to life in prison, where they remain to this day. As for the Turpin children, once their parents were arrested, they were split into two groups, with the adults being placed in supportive care and the underage children being placed into foster homes. This should have been where their story ended, as the children were now free and should have been safely on the road to recovery. But unfortunately, in 2022, the 6 younger Turpin children filed a lawsuit against both Riverside County and ChildNet, the private foster care agency, alleging that they were knowingly placed in abusive foster homes. At the time of this video, a resolution to this lawsuit has not been made. The adult Turpin children didn't entirely escape hardship at the hands of the county either. Tons of support flowed in from all over the country after their 2018 rescue, with money from the donations alone totaling $600,000. However, the money was placed in a trust and the children were allegedly unable to obtain funds from the court-appointed guardian of the trust upon request. It wasn't until ABC's 2020 investigated and aired a special on the case that, according to Jordan, people started listening and doing their jobs, and the money was distributed to the Turpin children.
The House of Never prologue, The Ghost and the Wire. The world outside the window was not a world at all. It was a rumor, a collection of sounds and shifting lights that had no substance. For 17 years, Jordan Turpin had lived by the logic of the 4 walls around her, a logic of chains and hunger, of silence and scripture twisted into a garret. The house on Muir Woods Road was its own planet, and her parents, David and Louise, were its twin, wrathful gods. But tonight, the rumor of the world was a promise. It whispered through the gap she'd forced in the window, a sliver of cool, alien air that smelled of asphalt and damp lawns instead of stale filth and decay. Her heart was a frantic bird beating against the cage of her ribs. Every creak of the floorboards, every distant sigh from a sleeping sibling was the sound of discovery, the prelude to a punishment that would make all previous tortures feel like a caress. She had the phone, an old deactivated smartphone one of her brothers had found and hidden, a relic from a life before Paris, before the last vestiges of freedom had been snuffed out. For weeks they had huddled in the dark, whispering, planning. It was a plan woven from desperation and the terrifying nascent threads of hope. Hope was the most dangerous contraband in the house, more dangerous than a stolen slice of bread, more forbidden than a glance held for too long with a sibling. Hope implied a future. In the house of Turpin, there was only the eternal punishing now. Her feet, bare and calloused, made no sound on the grimy carpet. She moved like a wraith through the familiar labyrinth of shadows, her body a cartography of fear. She knew the exact location of the loose floorboard that moaned, the precise angle to take past her parents' bedroom door, behind which they slept, their breathing a soft, rhythmic counterpoint to the terror they wove into the very fabric of the house. The window slid open with a gasp that sounded to Jordan like a scream. She squeezed her thin frame through the opening, her worn nightgown snagging for a heart-stopping second on the latch. Then she was out. The shock of the outside was a physical blow. The grass under her feet was wet with dew, a sensation so foreign she nearly recoiled. The streetlights cast long, predatory shadows. A car hissed by on the distant road, its headlights sweeping across her, making her freeze like a startled animal. The world was so big, so loud. The sheer scale of it, the open, star-dusted sky where a ceiling should be, was a form of agoraphobic terror. She fumbled with the phone. Her hands shook so violently she could barely hold it steady. 911. The numbers glowed, impossibly bright. She had learned them from a show she'd glimpsed once years ago, a forbidden peek at a television screen before it was locked away forever. She pressed the green icon. Nothing, of course, deactivated. A cold, black dread washed over her. The plan was a failure. The rumor of the world was a lie. Panic clawed at her throat. She could hear her father's voice in her head, calm and cold, explaining the consequences of disobedience. She could feel the phantom weight of the chains on her wrists. But then, a flicker of something else, a sibling's whispered encouragement. "You're the brave one, Jordan. You can do it." She took a picture, proof. She snapped a photo of her sister, chained to a bed, her face a pale oval of resignation in the gloom. The image on the small screen was a damning testament. It was real. This was happening. She ran. She didn't know where, only away. Away from the beige house that looked so normal, so suburban, so utterly anonymous. She ran toward the distant humming lights, her bare feet slapping against the cold pavement, the ghost of a girl chasing the rumor of a world, clutching a dead phone that held the only truth that mattered. She had to make someone believe her. She just had to find someone who could hear a scream that had been silent for 17 years. Part 1. The Gilded Cage. Chapter 1. The Curtains of Muir Woods Road. Betty Flores considered herself a good neighbor. She baked cookies for the new family down the street, kept an eye out for suspicious vehicles, and maintained a polite but firm understanding of the boundaries that made suburban life function. The family in the beige two-story house at 160 Muir Woods Road, however, defied all the unspoken rules of neighborly conduct. They were a void, an absence where a family should be. In the 4 years since the Turpins had moved in, Betty had seen the children perhaps a dozen times. They were like figures in a dream, appearing at odd hours, always after dusk, marching in a single silent file to the family van. They were pale, with large dark eyes that seemed to swallow the light. They never spoke, never laughed, never made eye contact. They moved with a strange, synchronized shuffle, their shoulders hunched, as if trying to make themselves smaller. Their hair was long and unkempt on the girls, bowl-cut and severe on the boys. They all wore the same clothes, sometimes identical purple plaid shirts, other times matching gray T-shirts like members of a strange, sad sect. Betty had tried in the beginning. She'd wave from her driveway. The mother, A woman with unnaturally black hair and a tense, bright smile would sometimes wave back, a frantic bird-like flutter of her hand, before hurrying the children inside. The father, a tall man with a bland, placid face, would offer a curt nod, his eyes empty of warmth. They were polite but impenetrable. The house itself was a fortress of secrets. The blinds were always drawn, day and night. The lawn was neatly mown, a single concession to suburban norms, but the windows were coated with a film of grime from the inside. There were never sounds of play, no shouts or laughter, no music, no barbecue smoke on a summer evening. The only sign of life was the occasional flicker of a television late at night, a blue, pulsating glow behind the tightly shut blinds. Wendy Martinez, who lived across the street, had a different theory. "It's a religious thing," she'd said to Betty over the fence one afternoon. "Some kind of homeschool cult. They're probably just really strict." Wendy had seen the mother Louise outside once wrestling with Christmas decorations in November. Louise had seemed flustered, almost manic, her movements jerky and uncoordinated. She'd talked about her children, all 13 of them. "They're such good kids," she'd chirped, her smile never quite reaching her eyes. "So respectful. We teach them to honor their father and mother." But it was the small, discordant details that snagged at Betty's mind. Once she saw 3 of the older girls outside, weeding a flower bed under the mother's watchful eye. They were skeletal. Not just teenage thin, but hollowed out, their cheekbones sharp, their arms like sticks. When a car had backfired down the street, they had flinched in unison, their faces masks of pure animal terror, before their mother had herded them back inside with a series of sharp, low hisses. Another time, Betty's son, a boisterous 7-year-old, had kicked his soccer ball into the Turpin's yard. He'd run to retrieve it, and for a moment, he'd peered through a gap in the blinds. He came back pale and quiet. "They were just sitting there, Mom," he'd whispered later, his voice full of a child's uncomprehending awe. All of them in a room, just sitting, staring. Betty had dismissed it, an overactive imagination, but the image lingered, a house full of children, silent and still as porcelain dolls on a dusty shelf. She told herself it was none of her business. They paid their mortgage, kept their lawn tidy. In the unspoken covenant of the suburbs, that was enough. But sometimes, late at night, when her own house was quiet, she would look out her window at the dark, silent house across the street and feel a cold, inexplicable dread creep up her spine. It was the feeling of standing on the edge of a deep, dark well and knowing, with a primal certainty, that something terrible was stirring in the depths. Chapter 2. The Rhythm of Hunger. Inside the house, time was not measured in hours or days, but in the slow, grinding rhythm of hunger. It was a constant, gnawing presence, a dull ache that sharpened into a stabbing pain and then subsided back into a familiar hollowness. The children had learned to live with it, to manage it. They knew that a sudden movement could burn precious calories, that sleep was a temporary mercy, a brief escape from the demands of the body. The air was thick with the smell of waste and neglect. It was a layered, complex odor, the sharp tang of urine from the soiled carpets, the cloying sweetness of decay from overflowing trash bins, the musty scent of unwashed bodies and unchanged clothes. They had grown so accustomed to it that they barely noticed it anymore, the way a person living by the sea stops hearing the waves. It was simply the atmosphere of their world. Today was a shackles day for Joshua. He was 24 but looked a decade younger, his growth stunted by years of malnutrition. His crime had been looking at a picture of a pie in a magazine he'd found. Mother had seen his eyes linger on the glossy image of the apple pie, its crust golden and latticed, steam rising from its cinnamon-scented depths. Her face, usually a mask of strained cheerfulness, had hardened into something cruel. "You're being tempted by the world, Joshua," she'd said, her voice a sing-song of reproach. "The devil uses worldly things to lead my children astray." Father had been summoned. David Turpin moved through the house with a quiet, deliberate authority. He rarely raised his voice. He didn't need to. His presence was enough, a weight that pressed down on the children, stifling breath and thought. He'd produced the chains, his movements methodical, practiced. He'd fastened the cold, heavy cuffs around Joshua's ankles, securing the other end to the metal frame of his bunk bed. "This is for your own good," David had said, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. "Discipline builds character. It purifies the soul." Now Joshua sat on the edge of his filthy mattress, the chains restricting his movement to a 3-foot radius. He could reach the overflowing bucket that served as his toilet. He could not reach the window. He could not reach his siblings, who moved around him with averted eyes, their silence a shield against their shared helplessness. To show sympathy was to invite the same punishment. This was the first and most important rule of survival. His sister Jennifer, the eldest, moved silently through the room, her face a blank canvas. She was 33, with the fragile, bird-like bones of a girl of 12. She was the family's silent historian, filling dozens of spiral notebooks with a cramped, meticulous script. She documented everything: the beatings, the starvations, the endless, nonsensical rules. The journals were her only rebellion, a secret testament to a reality her parents denied. She wrote not with hope of rescue, but with the simple, desperate need to record the truth, to prove to herself that she was not insane. In the kitchen, a world away from the stench of the children's rooms, Louise Turpin was humming. She was baking a pumpkin pie. The rich, spicy scent of cinnamon and nutmeg filled the air, a form of exquisite torture. She would place the finished pies, 2 of them, always 2, on the kitchen counter, just out of reach. The children would be allowed to look at them, to smell them, but not to touch them. They were props in the theater of her motherhood, symbols of a nourishment she provided in image but denied in substance. She checked her reflection in the darkened screen of the microwave. She adjusted her hair, smoothed her blouse. Later, she would take a selfie with the pies, a broad, happy smile on her face, and post it to Facebook. "Baking for my precious babies," the caption would read. Hundreds of people, distant relatives and old acquaintances, would like the post. They would see the image of a loving mother, a happy home. They would see the lie, and they would believe it. Upstairs, chained to his bed, Joshua closed his eyes and tried to remember what an apple tasted like. He focused on the memory, trying to conjure the crisp snap of the skin, the burst of sweet, tart juice. But the memory was faint, a watercolor painting bleached by years of sun. The only reality was the cold weight of the chains and the scent of a pie he would never eat. Chapter 3: The Architect of Control. David Turpin sat at the head of the dining room table, the polished wood a dark mirror reflecting his impassive face. The house was quiet. It was the state he preferred, the state he had engineered. Silence was order. Silence was control. He was a man of routines. Each morning he would wake, shower, and dress in a clean, pressed shirt and slacks, even though he no longer had a job to go to. He had been a successful engineer once with Northrop Grumman, earning a six-figure salary. He had been respected. He had provided. But he had made mistakes, leveraged too much, lived beyond his means, and the comfortable life had crumbled into a mountain of debt and a quiet, humiliating bankruptcy. The world outside had failed him. It was a place of chaos, of moral decay and financial unpredictability. He had lost control out there. But in here, inside these walls, he was sovereign. He was the architect of a world that made sense, a world that operated according to his laws. He did not see his actions as cruel. Cruelty was chaotic, emotional. He was neither. His methods were deliberate, logical. The children were his responsibility, his flock. It was his duty ordained by God to protect them from the filth of the world, from its temptations, its music, its ideas. Isolation was not a punishment, it was a sanctuary. The hunger was not deprivation. It was a tool for spiritual purification, a way to teach them to rise above the base demands of the flesh. The chains were not imprisonment. They were a physical reminder of the spiritual bonds that kept them safe from sin. He opened his Bible, its pages worn and soft as cloth. He found the passages that affirmed his authority, the verses on discipline and obedience. He read them not for guidance, but for justification. The words were a fortress he had built around his actions, stone by unshakable stone. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes. It was love, all of it. A severe, righteous love that the weak, sentimental world could never understand. He thought of Louise. She was his instrument, his enforcer. Her own childhood had been a wilderness of neglect and abuse, leaving her broken and malleable. He had found her when she was just a girl, a vessel waiting to be filled. He had filled her with his beliefs, his purpose. She was emotional, volatile, prone to fits of rage and theatrical despair. He saw these as feminine weaknesses, but useful ones. Her unpredictable moods kept the children off balance, constantly anxious, easier to manage. She craved his approval, his steady, calm authority, a balm for her own inner chaos. He was her god, and she, in turn, played the goddess to their children, a goddess of whim, doling out scraps of affection one moment and savage punishment the next. Sometimes he felt a flicker of something that might have been doubt, a memory of his own childhood, of playing baseball in the sun, of the simple freedom of walking to a corner store. But he would quickly suppress it. That world was gone, corrupted. He had built something better, purer, a family sealed off from time, a perfect, unchanging kingdom where his word was law and his will was absolute. He heard a faint scuffling sound from upstairs, one of the children moving when they were supposed to be still. He closed the Bible and stood up, his movements unhurried. He would correct the infraction. He would restore the silence. He was not angry. He felt nothing at all, only the quiet, profound satisfaction of a craftsman maintaining his creation, the satisfaction of a God tending to his world. Chapter 4. The Queen of Sorrows. Louise Turpin's world was a stage, and she was its tragic, misunderstood star. She lived her life as a performance for an invisible audience. Every action, every word was filtered through the lens of how it would be perceived. The most important role she played was that of the doting mother. It was a role she cherished, one she curated with meticulous care on the digital stage of Facebook. There, she was a paragon of maternal love. Photos showed her beaming, surrounded by her brood of 13, all dressed in matching outfits. There were trips to Disneyland, the children smiling on cue, their thinness hidden by bright t-shirts, their vacant eyes masked by the California sun. There was the vow renewal in Las Vegas, an Elvis impersonator presiding, Louise in a white wedding dress, her daughters as bridesmaids in identical purple plaid. The photos were perfect. The captions were effusive with love and gratitude. "My 13 amazing children, I am so blessed." The reality, the one that existed beyond the camera's lens, was a different play entirely. It was a grim, brutal production set in a house that smelled of misery. Here, Louise was not the doting mother, but the queen of sorrows, a volatile tyrant ruling over a kingdom of fear. Her moods were the weather system of the house. A sunny spell could mean a rare treat, a shared candy bar, divided into 13 minuscule portions. But the storms were sudden and violent. A misplaced book, a questioning look, a child's involuntary cough could trigger a hurricane of rage. She would scream, her voice raw and ragged, her words a torrent of accusations and insults. She would pull hair, she would bite, she would throw things. Her fury was all the more terrifying for its unpredictability. She was pathologically jealous of her own daughters. As they began to blossom into young women, she saw them as rivals. She forbade them from speaking to their father alone. She accused them of trying to steal him from her. Her punishments for them were particularly cruel, born of a deep-seated insecurity that gnawed at her soul. Her own childhood was a ghost that haunted her. She spoke of it in vague, dramatic terms, hinting at dark secrets and unspeakable traumas. She had been the unloved child, the one left behind. This narrative of victimhood was central to her identity. It excused her cruelty. How could she be expected to be a good mother when no one had ever mothered her? Her children's suffering was merely a reflection of her own, their pain a testament to the depth of her own wounds. She loved David with a desperate, suffocating dependency. He was her anchor, her authority. His calm, unshakable self-righteousness gave structure to her emotional chaos. She embraced his rigid, isolationist ideology because it gave her a script. The world was evil. They were righteous. The children must be protected, disciplined, purified. It was a simple, powerful narrative that justified the locks on the doors and the chains on the beds. But there were cracks in her performance. She had a strange compulsion to buy things, toys, clothes, DVDs, for the children, only to leave them in their packaging, piled high in closets. They were props, symbols of a loving childhood she was providing, even as she denied them food and freedom. The act of buying was enough. The follow-through was unnecessary. Tonight, after posting the photo of the pumpkin pies, she sat in the clean, orderly living room scrolling through the comments. "You're an amazing mom. What a beautiful family." Each comment was a balm, a validation of the fictional character she had created. She smiled, a genuine secret smile. In this glowing virtual world, she was not a monster. She was adored. She was a good mother. And for a few fleeting moments, she could almost believe it herself. Upstairs, the children she was blessed with tried to sleep through the gnawing pangs of hunger, their dreams filled with the scent of a pie they would never be allowed to taste. Chapter 5. And Happiest Place on Earth. The Disneyland trips were the pinnacle of the Turpin family's public performance. They were meticulously planned, high-stakes productions where any deviation from the script could result in severe consequences. The preparation began days in advance. Louise would lay out the matching outfits. This time it was bright red t-shirts that read Thing 1, Thing 2, and so on, up to Thing 13. The children, weak from hunger, would be forced to shower, a rare and monitored event where they were timed and criticized for using too much water. David would deliver a lecture, his voice a low monotone, detailing the rules of the outing. "You will smile," he would begin, his eyes scanning their faces. "You will look happy. You will not speak to anyone outside the family. You will not draw attention to yourselves. When your mother takes a picture, you will all look at the camera and you will smile. Do you understand?" A chorus of faint, "Yes, fathers," would whisper through the room. The van ride to Anaheim was a silent, tense affair. The children were packed in, their thin bodies close but not touching. They stared out the windows at the blur of the freeway, a world of unimaginable freedom and complexity rushing past them. They passed fast food restaurants, their bright signs promising a bounty they could only dream of. The smell of a sibling's unwashed hair, the feel of the worn vinyl seats, the low hum of the engine. These were the sensory details of their brief parole. Entering the park was a sensory assault. The cheerful music, the bright colors, the sheer number of people, laughing, talking, eating, was overwhelming. The children walked in their practiced formation, a tight, silent phalanx around their parents. They moved through the crowds like ghosts, invisible in their bright red shirts. The primary purpose of the day was photography. Louise had her phone out constantly, directing them into poses. "All right, everyone, in front of the castle. Jennifer, you're not smiling. Smile. Joshua, stand up straight. Look at me. Look happy." They would obey, their faces contorting into stiff, unnatural grins. The resulting photos, uploaded to Facebook in near real time, depicted a joyful, boisterous family having the time of their lives. No one looking at the images could see the gnawing hunger in their stomachs as they walked past carts selling popcorn and churros, the smell a sweet agony. No one could see the exhaustion in their bodies, the dull ache of malnutrition that made every step a conscious effort. No one could hear David's whispered threats. "If you complain, you'll be in chains for a month. If you embarrass your mother, you won't eat for a week." Once, one of the younger girls, maybe 7 or 8 years old, began to cry silently, tears tracking clean paths down her dusty cheeks. She was simply overwhelmed by it all, the noise, the hunger, the crushing effort of pretending. Louise saw her. Her bright smile vanished, replaced by a tight, lipless line. She grabbed the girl's arm, her fingers digging in like talons. "You stop that right now," she hissed, her voice a venomous whisper. "You are ruining this for everyone. Do you want to be punished? Do you want to make Father angry?" The girl choked back her sobs, her small body trembling. The smile was pasted back on. A moment later, Louise was gathering them for another photo, this time with Goofy. She slung her arm around the crying girl's shoulders, pulling her into a hug for the camera, her face a mask of radiant maternal affection. As the sun set and the fireworks exploded over the Sleeping Beauty castle in dazzling chrysanthemums of light and color, the Turpin children watched, their faces upturned. They were surrounded by thousands of people, oohing and eyeing, sharing a moment of collective wonder. But the Turpins were not a part of it. They were an island, isolated in the middle of the happiest place on earth. For them, the brilliant explosions were just another light show in the dark, a brief and beautiful spectacle that had nothing to do with them. Soon, they would be herded back into the van, back to the silent house on Muirwoods Road, where the performance would end and the grim reality of their lives would resume. The matching red shirts would come off, and for some, the chains would go back on. Chapter 6. The whispers of a plan hope began with a discarded cell phone. It was one of the boys who found it, tucked away in a box of junk David had brought home from one of his failed business ventures. The phone was old, its screen cracked, and it had no service. But by some miracle, its battery held a residual charge. For the older siblings, it was a piece of alien technology, a portal. They kept it hidden, charging it in brief, stolen moments when their parents were out.